Marriage is for old people and poor people.
Okay, so let's get into that. Why?
Because when you broke, our parents, like my moms and all them, they married on a merit of like, okay, we're going to put our incomes together, have all these kids, and then when our kids, we're going to have 5, 10 kids back in the 60s, all them, they're going to have 5, 10 kids so they can work and bring income.
Yeah.
So you poor. So you married for that. And now when you get old, somebody that to be by your side to take care of you. Outside.
First of all, so if marriage is for old people and poor people, what about all the people that were getting married outside of the old and poor? I don't think anybody should ever be looking to listen to what Paul Pierce probably is saying about anything outside of something pertaining to basketball. Because every time I hear this dude, it just doesn't land right. Marriage is for old people and poor people. I hope that there aren't men actually listening to this guy and applying this logic going forward. So I'm just going to start there with that. But let's see what else.
What does it do for a man when things go south? Like, we going to have to give up half our this, pay child support, but it's only advantageous to a woman. Like,
what advantage is it to a man? What happens when things go south? Okay, so respectfully, I understand why all men should do a cost-benefit analysis when it comes to anything that we're going to be involved in. That's the responsible thing to do. You should always think about, what is this going to cost me on the back end? Now, Paul Pierce is a multimillionaire, future Hall of Famer, all-star basketball player. So 99% of the men on planet Earth can't take what he's saying and apply it to them. Most of y'all don't have as much to lose. Now, that's not to say that whatever you do have to lose isn't worth losing, but it's a little bit different. And if you haven't been married and divorced, or you don't know anything about what the average person goes through when it comes to marriage and possibly divorce, you gotta know something about that. You gotta know how that actually shakes out. You're going to split assets gained during the marriage. That's fair. You're going to have a custody arrangement when you've had children during the marriage. Somebody's going to be the primary custodian or the primary residential custodian. These things are going to be decided upon. That's just fair for the children. Somebody's going to be the most stable household. That's where the children are going to go. If it's deemed to be the women in the situation, then amen, y'all need to start fighting on y'all's own behalf for that. Y'all need to go into those battles. I don't want to say battles, but if you're going down the path of divorce, you need to be diligent about establishing the fact that you are the parent that is the most responsible, and it is in the best long-term interest of your children to reside with you. That's not something that's instantly decided just because. And a lot of times men don't want to be. A lot of times women don't want to be. It just depends on how that stuff shakes out. It's not just automatic. And women aren't automatically getting half of everything. Just like that, you split assets, you split debt, and then again, there's a decision on where children are going to reside. And if they're residing with one, the other parent pays child support to the other because these are y'all's children. So how does that not benefit the man? It's not about it benefiting you. It's about it benefiting the children. It's not about it even necessarily benefiting the woman. Now, if you make a substantially large amount of money like Paul Pierce, then yes, child support in the case of actors, athletes, celebrities, politicians, big time businessmen, yes, those child support numbers seem to be outlandish compared to average earning men. But this ain't a conversation for average earning men. So when he says people, when he says men, he's speaking in general. He needs to be very specific and say, hey, these are issues that men of substantial means have to deal with. Regular dudes ain't dealing with this shit.
So you're telling me right now today, you on January 4th, you do not want to be in a relationship ever again.
I don't think it's realistic long term until I turn 70.
I am done.
And this is what a lot of women are talking about when they talk about dudes aging out, hitting the wall. I know y'all only believe women hit the wall. The dudes age out and they want to live in nurse. I mean, it's Paul Pierce. I know a lot of men have sense, but this is the kind of shit that gets disseminated. And then it's taken as what men should apply to their lives. And then men get up in age and realize, nah, I shouldn't have been listening to that dumb shit. I probably should have locked in with somebody when I was a little bit younger, way before 70. I'd like to say before 50, my guy. I'd like to say, you know, wouldn't you want to be with somebody when you have a certain level of vitality left in you? You mean to tell me you want to get with a woman when it's time for you to go into hospice? Are we being serious, right? It is horrible. It is horrible. Women, y'all better be careful. Because these are the type of motherfuckers that's left for y'all on the back end. You know what I'm saying? Y'all also got to make some wise decisions early. Because boy, this is what y'all be talking about. Goddamn.
Yeah. So Ant-Man loves to work, but also loves to work out. In the discussion for Face of the League, you could do both. They are not mutually exclusive.
Now, for those of y'all that don't follow Gil's Arena or follow the conversation amongst basketball players, when he says Anthony Edwards loves the work and to work out, the work is another word for the hose, and to work out is another way of saying he likes to, you know, spend a lot of time with the hose. So they're not talking about professional work. I mean, those women might be professional, but you know, they're not talking about actually playing basketball at this point. The work is the hose. That's and working out is entertaining the hose.
No, you can't.
All right.
Absolutely not. Be fine.
Let me back that back
Ant-Man
up.
loves to work, but also loves to work out. In the discussion for Face of the League, you could do both. They are not mutually exclusive.
You can't. No, you can't.
Both.
Absolutely not.
We're
you
seeing
cannot.
We're seeing it right now.
No.
The conference finals appearances.
That's why I still you know.
It's open.
What does it call it? It's still tryouts. Trying out for.
We're having tryouts.
The more holes he tries out, the more people didn't try out for Face of the League. Facts. Right? You can't have them both, brother. You can't. It's just
narrow it down.
Yeah,
Close. 3 of them.
Yeah, you got 3. Just pick the one you like real much. Hang out with her as long as you're famous, man. The one that can speak very well around white folks.
Oh, you gotta get the one that like you. The one that like you too.
No, just some corporate people gotta like her.
We know.
Because I think the girls today think that child support is actually the bag.
All right, let me stop it right there. All right, so just after listening to Paul Pierce talking about women don't benefit men, now we go into a conversation where in Gil's Arena they're talking about Anthony Edwards. If y'all remember, he's the guy that got the girl pregnant that said, hey, go have an abortion. And the lady was like, no, I'm not having an abortion. And he's basically like, I'll sign over my rights. and he's a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat. He's gonna do his financial responsibility, but he's not gonna be a father to the child, right? And so what these men are saying is that he can't be the face of the league while he's out here chasing hoes. That's what they're saying. There was somebody I was having this conversation with on Facebook, and I'm like, and they were like, he's gonna be the face of the league. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not gonna be the face of the league, because what company would want to brand themselves behind a bachelor who's also an irresponsible, reckless procreator? But I'm gonna let them go more into that, and now I'll give my take on the back end of it. They kind of sort of make the point.
That ain't the bag. The child support ain't the bag.
As we know.
Building his empire is the bag.
Shout out to the Magic Johnson Theater.
Shutting up is the bag. The fear. See, I don't think they understand the fear is worth more than the public. Because once you put it in the public, it's like, okay, fuck it. Whatever it comes with. Like, the fear of telling someone is what makes people, and that's just that bag. But put it like this, every loaf of bread I get as the name, you get one slice of bread, right?
So I'm gonna back it up a little bit just to speak to this thought. So they're saying that, you know, women think getting the child support is the bag, and what he's saying, which this is chess versus checkers now, ladies. What he's saying is that if old girl who was pregnant by Anthony Edwards said, you know what, I'm gonna have this baby, it is what it is, but I'll keep it quiet. I'll say whatever you want me to say if that benefits your brand. And I'm not, maybe Anthony Edwards isn't the type of dude that would have took that deal. Maybe he would have took that deal, but maybe he's not the type that'll take that deal. But if you're a man that wants to brand yourself, that wants to at least look good enough to the public, you might want to deal with women that are going to kind of like, hey, and as a woman, you might want to at least offer like child support. You could run that calculation and you could see what that's going to be. You can see what that's going to be, right? And then you can have a conversation with the man and say, look, these, you know, hey, I can get $20,000 a month in child support if I make this public, if I take this to the courts, if I do this. This is the woman saying this to the man. I can get $20,000 a month as it stands. But if you want me to shut up, sit in the corner, I'm not going to be on Instagram. I'm not going to be talking to no basketball wives. I'm not going to be on nobody's shows. I'm not going to denigrate your name. I'm going to just sit back and play. I'm going to be quiet and play the game. How about you do $30,000 a month? There might be some men out there that are going to take that deal, especially if they are concerned about their public image. But Anthony Edwards, to be clear, said he doesn't want to be the face of the league. So, you know, but there are people that are saying that he can be the face of the league or do both, or might be later, and they're breaking down as to why not. But they're also breaking down the errors that some women make in dealing with men of this caliber.
When you ruin the name, it ruins how many loaves I can get. So as a mother, as the mother of our children, you start talking like I'm the best father in the world. These people are giving me loaves, which is giving you slices.
Absolutely.
To at some point, you got your own loaf.
Yeah. You're supposed to big me up.
The more you make me look bad, it just hurts. I'm the one that's generating what you're going to eat off. You can't say, I want child support, you throw my name. I don't got no ends. You got to think of it like a business. If you are the business, I got to make this business look so great that me and our child is receiving benefits from it.
That's a
because that's the reason that being the face of the NBA will be a little difficult role for him, because he has mothers out there that don't understand the place.
Right.
No. Despite all that,
you can't despite all that.
What I'm saying, despite all that, winning trumps all of that.
No, it does not.
They don't care about who.
So Josiah, the guy in the middle that's making the argument, the fans don't care. The casual fans don't care. But what Gil and the other guys are talking about is not the fans, the brand. The brand. See, fans aren't going to be the ones to get you the biggest bag. The brand is who's going to get, and that brand is that NBA logo. That's the brand. Being the face of that brand.
Oh no! What is it? Show me one.
The man.
Show me one in today's game where you can be a bachelor out there with 4, 5 baby mamas that's talking shit in the I can't as a company, me putting a brand on you, knowing you don't have this part of your life under control. How? At any given moment, this woman can say anything about you that compromises the business.
Man. But you don't have to give them a ring if you're winning them on the basketball court.
But
you're attached to them.
You're attached to them.
They feel.
I just looked at.
Man, what did he say? Man, if I can back that up.
Me putting a brand on you, knowing you don't have this part of your life under control. How? At any given moment, this woman can
listen. See, this goes back to that bullshit. How does a woman benefit you? How does marriage benefit you? It shows stability, and brands like stability. Y'all's big ass, dumbass cousin Shay Shay is another prime example. He lost some brand deals. He cannot sit down for ESPN right now because he's a bachelor still chasing hoes. You can't do both. You can't do both. If you're going to do that, then you have to settle for a little bit less as the person wanting money from these companies. You gotta take a little bit of less. That's how marriage benefits men. That's one of the ways that marriage benefits men. Bottom line, you look more stable. For you men that want to debate it, just go look in any sector of your finances. Go look at your taxes. Go look at your mortgages. Go look at your insurance. Go look at anything you want. When you are married, when you put married down, you get more breaks. It's not a debate. It is a fact. It is a fact when your emergency contact has the same last name as you and she's your spouse. Companies, business partners, married men prefer to do business with married men. Why? Because married men know that married men have shit to lose. So a married man who's a multimillionaire, and you might not be a multimillionaire yet, but you're trying to mix and mingle with multimillionaires. Those multimillionaires ain't letting you in the club unless you got something on your arm that says now you can come into this club. And that thing on your arm has to be a wife, because those men now know that you playing the same game. At least on the surface, you're playing the same game. You look like you got something to live for. You look like you got something that might take half if you compromise yourself too much. If you don't have dick discipline, it's not going to just cost the company, it's going to cost you personally. And we know everybody loves themselves more than everything else. So it is absolutely in the benefit of men to lock in with somebody. If for nothing else, at least on the surface, you look better on paper, baby.
You can say anything that compromises the business.
Man. But you don't have to give them a ring if you're winning them on the basketball court.
But
you're attached to them.
You're attached to them.
They feel
I just looked at something just
attachment.
We won. We won.
I just looked at something just
we won.
The bigger you get, the more they want to talk.
Absolutely. And they hate you already, but now they got it. You winning. Yeah. Hey, big head.
Yo, how many times have y'all seen these dudes with these brands, these athletes or celebrities or whatever, and it seems like right when they're about to get a bigger bag, right when they're about to get some more money, right when they're doing the most, somebody pop out with something to say. It's like clockwork. It is like clockwork. Soon as you making moves, soon as you doing a little bit more, they pop out. It's different when you're quiet, you on the low, maybe you got your millions, but you just chilling. You ain't bothering nobody. Boy, go start a radio show, go start a company, go do something public facing that requires you to look like the best version of yourself. You can absolutely bet that baby mama, that ex, that somebody's gonna pop out to say something. I don't know why men just don't get smart, and when they're about to make these moves, you should have a roster as a man. When you're about to make these moves, I gotta be a little calculated here. So let me reach out to them and say, hey, I'm about to make this move right now. I don't know how you feel about some things, but I'm gonna need you to remain as quiet as you have and make a deal. And you might have to make a deal, or lock in with somebody, fellas. Just lock in with somebody.
Obviously, Trump is now in power. And as we saw in the data, and it was touched on earlier on, young men have become more right-leaning and more conservative than ever before. The left hasn't necessarily offered the best vision of masculinity to young men, as something Scott's talked about previously. I was wondering, I think this morning in the hotel, I was like, how is the left going to get men back? Is that possible? Because the vision of masculinity, this is something Scott's talked about, that the left portrays is not, doesn't seem to be in line with all the things we've just described that we feel intuitively as men. The things we think are important, like economic viability, being strong, you know.
I'll let Scott go first.
Well, on the right, they've conflated masculinity with coarseness and cruelty. The two kind of role models, you know, President Trump, who in my opinion demonstrates a lack of grace and a lack of empathy and a lack of kindness. And Elon Musk is currently being sued by 2 women for sole custody of their kid because he hasn't seen the kid. I mean, those are the role models we want for young men? And on the left, their vision of masculinity is act more like a woman. I don't think that's helpful either. I went to the Democratic National Convention and there was a parade of special interest groups. Everyone was represented, except for the group that needs the most representation right now, in my view, and that is young men. If you go to the DNC website, they list 16 special interest groups and they say, who we serve. They call it out, who we serve. Asian Pacific Islanders, seniors, the disabled, immigrants, Black Americans. And I added it up. It's 74% of the US population. And when you say you're actively advocating for 74%, you're not advocating for the 74%, you're discriminating against the 26%. And who are the 26%? Young men.
Is this a consequence of DEI?
I think that's part of it. I think there's been so many groups that have been discriminated against. And the way I would just loosely describe the Democratic Party is we have the right ideas and then we just take it too far. You know, there were...
So I'm gonna stop it there, man. So when they talk about, the right conflates cruelty and a lack of empathy and a lack of kindness with masculinity. And then on the left, be more like a woman. That's what they identify as the right type of man of masculinity. It's true. It's true. And therein lies the divide. Men want to just be men. We're not going to be told that we need to be more like a woman or lean into our femininity or feminine energy that we all have to be better men or to be more acceptable as men or to be more desirable as partners. That's not going to happen. It's not going to work. It has not worked. Men will withdraw from society and we'll see how that works out. And that won't work out well. And again, on the left side, again, like you just said, with all the right ideas, they take it too far. They put too much in your face for too long. They want to give too many breaks to too many people for too long, to the point where different groups continue to function in dysfunction. And the truth or the solutions are oftentimes somewhere in the middle. I want to hear the rest of what
women have gotten a raw deal.
To say on this.
So they need advantage. Gays have been persecuted. People, non-whites there were 12 Black people 60 years ago in Princeton, Harvard, and Yale combined. That was a problem. This year, more than 60% of Harvard's freshman class identify as non-white. So I think we got to get out of identity politics. But the notion,
it kind of reminds me of parenting. When you come up, a lot of people that come up with strict parents, some of them, you look at their lives and they're exceptional people, or they've done well in life. And then when they have children, they go straight the other way. They go way the other way instead of somewhere down the middle. So my dad or my parents were super strict, so I'm going to make sure I let my children do whatever they want to do. I'm going to make sure my children have an opinion about everything. They're not children no more. They're little people. The authority when I was a child was too much. So when I have my children, I'm not going to appeal to be their authority. I'm going to be their friend. This is kind of when we do things and we have experiences and we want to make changes to where we move too far the other way. Whereas we probably need to, come up off the strict stuff just a little, but we got to have rules and guidelines in place. That's, kind of what I pick up on with the DEI stuff, with affirmative action and all those things is you were trying to help disenfranchised groups, but you turned around and disenfranchised another group. And some people don't have empathy for the other group, you know, the white population. Some people, you know, white men specifically, some people don't care about that. And that's fine. That's your opinion. Some people look at it like, well, y'all had it so good for so long. Who cares if you got to suffer for a little while? And hey, if that's your position on it and you want to stand on that, I won't argue with you. But the results are that there is discord in our nation because people feel some way about it, and those people aren't the ones who were benefiting the way that their predecessors did. So they're not going to sit there and say, well, 100 and 200 years ago, my predecessors, my ancestors, they got XYZ, and now I can't get some of that. Well, I guess I got to just charge it to the game because they did and I didn't. That's not going to work. Again, like I said last week, people love themselves first above all people. So by default, they're going to advocate for themselves.
It largely came from the left, this notion of toxic masculinity. There's no such thing because there's violence, there's people who are criminals, there's people who are unkind. That means they're not masculine. Masculinity is being a protector, a provider, a procreator. And there's violence. There's
Let me back that shit up.
There's people who are unkind. That means they're not masculine.
Thank you. There's violence. There's people who are criminals. There's people who are unkind. That is not masculine. I hate when these negative tropes get associated with things. You know, as a black man, I hate when the negative tropes get associated with that's what's black. As a man, I hate when the negative tropes get associated with that's what it's like to be a man. Being kind, being violent, that's the manly thing to do. No, it's not. That's faux masculinity. That's hyper masculinity. It's fake. It's not real. Like he said, to be a man is to be a protector and provider. That's your first duty. That's your first duty. And if you don't subscribe to that, be a woman. I mean, hell, the left has let men co-opt womanhood by way of transgenderism anyway. So I mean, you might as well.
Masculinity is being a protector, provider, a procreator. And the Democratic Party seems to believe that leaning into anything around your advantage of being male in terms of your strength, your kindness, you're wanting to procreate, you're initiating sexual contact or sexual romantic interest is somehow a threat and somehow toxic. I just think they've sent absolutely the wrong signal. And
he added being a procreator onto that, and then he talked about initiating sexual contact. And man, that has become so delicate in the last decade. It is extremely delicate. The Me Too movement and trying to identify the things that men did wrong in the past has men walking on glass as it pertains to initiating contact with women to express sexual desire or romantic interest. And I personally do believe that that's because men didn't grow up with masculine men. Because see, if you grew up with a masculine man taught you how to approach women respectfully, with decency, how to express your desires in a way that was respectful and decent, that wouldn't get you slapped by a woman, cursed out by a woman, or that didn't leave a woman to be fearful of you as a man. Hypermasculine behavior is what gets mixed into this batch. And when you see the way these men approach women so disrespectfully and are so visceral when women turn them down and so angry, that's not masculinity, because those men weren't raised by masculine men. A masculine man would have raised you to approach as respectful as possible. And even as respectful as your approach might be, on your very best day, with the very best approach, with your most decent, respectful moment, that woman can still say, I'm not interested. And you should not take it personal. You should not take it personal. You should not then in turn be disrespectful. You just keep it moving and live on and move on to the next. That's all we were taught, those that were taught by masculine men. But it's all mixed now. It's all conflated now. Everything y'all have seen in the movies and TV and pop culture and on the streets and in the hood and everywhere else where you see all these different reactions where women are now so afraid to give their number to men because, or they're afraid of rejecting men, so they give them numbers or they give them fake numbers and they have to block them later. Like, yo, that's not because that's not a masculine problem. That's a non-masculine problem because a masculine man.
And into that void,
absolutely not,
has stepped basically thinly veiled misogyny that is just so ugly. You know, Trump flew right into it. The reason Trump won this election, in my view, is the groups that pivoted hardest from blue to red, 2020 to 2024, were Latinos who were sick of being categorized by their identity. But numbers 2 and 3 were people under the age of 30, especially males, who are not doing very well and feel like Donald Trump feels their pain, and women age 45 to 64. And my thesis is that's their mothers. Because if your son isn't doing well, you don't care about territorial sovereignty in Ukraine or transgender rights. You just want to change. My son isn't doing well.
Those are the people that whisper to me in the streets about these conversations. It's the 40.
Yo, did y'all hear what this man said? He said the young males and their mothers. Now, this goes into a dangerous space because those are more than likely single moms. Those are the young men of single moms, probably in most cases. So you're gonna get men that are going to rail against the decisions of women and who they procreated with, and those women are now concerned about their sons. That lends that conversation. That lends that conversation about the decisions that we all make when it comes to creating children, who you create children with, and whether or not you can do that in a nuclear family dynamic. And if you can't do it in the nuclear family dynamic, can you get the right masculine influence around that young man so he doesn't end up feeling so defeated? I mean, we're talking about men defeated before the age of 30. I mean, in my 20s, I felt like the world could be conquered. I felt like I had all the opportunities in the world, more so because I was raised by a man who instilled in me and a grandfather who instilled some things in me and uncles who instilled things in me that, hey, nobody's coming to save you. You got to go out here and get it. And you gotta do some things the right way along the way. Try to do everything the right way along the way, but you gotta do some things the right way along the way. And one of the things you can't do along the way, you can't recklessly procreate. You can't have a bunch of baby mamas, that sort of thing. And on the flip side of that are the baby mamas and the women. You gotta protect that thing. You can't just have children by any old dude, because if you're left to your own devices, can you possibly raise a LeBron James? You possibly can. But can you turn around and raise a Ray Ray or a Pookie? You very well likely can. The school systems are full of it. And this isn't just about white and black. This is bigger than that. Because I'm sure it wasn't all black single mothers that voted for Trump and all, young black men that voted for. I'm pretty sure it had to be, like he said, Latinos had to be part of that group. White young men had to be part of that group. And older white women had to be part of that group. So the decisions we make invariably cost us down the line as it pertains to how this masculine thing really looks. And then what does the political agenda do with that? Do they cater to that and you get a president in office that you as a voter, you don't align with? I mean, maybe if we took care of business on the back end, we wouldn't have large groups of people. Maybe if we took care of business on the front end, we wouldn't be voting for somebody who we are hoping is going to fix things for us on the back end. Starts at home.
Men are to blame for the male loneliness epidemic.
Why do you think that?
It's way easier for women to get 10 guys than it is for one guy to get 10 women.
Women don't want to sleep with you. That's why you're lonely.
Listen! Even if I didn't make 6 figures, I'd want to save it, but women said I should spend it all on them. They basically expect me to pay for their love.
Would you want a woman that talks like that?
I prefer women who make their own money and are educated. So no.
So then you're not lonely. You feel rejected by a woman you don't even want in the first place, but you want the woman you reject to want you too?
The problem is most women think like that. So they're the reason I'm lonely! Now I hate all
There's
of them.
plenty of women who don't think like that. You're just on the internet, and the most negative thing you can find on the internet always goes viral.
But if it goes viral, that means many women agree with it. So women make me not feel enough because I'm intelligent, but I don't have those things.
There's plenty of women that like intelligent men. Do you like intelligent women?
Yes, I want her to be smart, but not too intelligent, because then she's gonna try to be the man in the relationship over me.
How you don't like the type of woman that you want to like you?
Because intelligent women are too independent. So basically, women make me feel like I'm not needed in this world. They make me feel like I'm not strong enough. I play too many games. Now I'm scared to talk to them.
If you feel weak, work out. If you hate playing games, stop playing so many. If you want to make friends, talk to
But
people.
the women!
You can't blame women for things you're not doing in your life.
Watch me!
You are enough as you are. You just have to accept yourself, and things you want to improve on, just start making little movements towards that.
So instead of living up to women's expectations, just to set my own, women make me feel like I'm not allowed to improve my life.
It's not women's fault.
It's too late. I have no control over my life.
You have control over all of that.
This shit is hilarious. Listen, you can't blame the women for, like, I know he's mocking the red pill community, and I often take pleasure in mocking myself. I absolutely do enjoy mocking the red pill manospherians, 100%. As I said lastly in the video previous to this, I had uncles, I had a father, you know, I had men in my life that impressed upon me the importance of hard work, personality development, having interest well outside of women, just being interested in things, being busy, being physically healthy. All these things are things that are 100% within your control as a man, and they really have nothing to do with the pursuit of women. You do these things, and magically, the women just find themselves in your orbit. And it doesn't matter that you're not the most handsome guy. It doesn't matter that you're not the tallest guy. It doesn't matter that you're not the richest guy. None of that matters. What matters is you know who you are, you're confident in who you are, and you improve on the things that you know you can improve upon. There's dudes out there actually who like getting surgery to be taller. I personally would never, but by all means, brother, if you think that's improving things in your life, there's men that have gone bald or going bald that are getting the fake hair pieces. By all means, brother, if that's what you want to do, if that's going to improve you, you feel good about it. Dudes are going to the gym. Dudes are getting educated. Dudes are building their finances. They should be doing those things because those are the things that they want to do for themselves. Because by default, naturally, the women are gonna come your way. You'll at least get the opportunities. You'll at least get more opportunities. Now, when you get those opportunities, have you worked on your soft skills? Can you carry a conversation? Can you talk about something more than your job and playing video games? These are things that should have took place when you were a young man, when you were a boy, when you were an adolescent. You should have figured these things out in, I want to say, high school at the latest. Somewhere in middle school, the development should have started. But if it's too late for that, and if by college you still didn't get it, there's therapy and then there's coaching. And usually they don't do the same thing. Usually your dating coach is not your therapist, and your therapist is not your dating coach. And the therapist is supposed to help you get over all your past issues and traumas, and your dating coach should be helping you develop soft skills. And you yourself, you should be putting in the work to represent yourself as best you can, minus therapy and dating coaches. There's no excuses out here. There's no excuses out here to still be blaming the women, to still be out there blaming the women. No excuse. You can't still be blaming the women. You can't still be
10 guys than it is for one guy.
And then look,
women are to blame for the male loneliness epidemic.
Why do you think that?
It's way easier for women to get 10 guys than it is for one guy to get 10 women.
That is crazy. I know it's a lot of y'all that think like that. Y'all look at, so me and my wife had this conversation one time, and we talk about the concepts of, like, not for us, but open marriages and how these things work. And I was like, boy, I'd never propose that shit. I said, no, I wouldn't propose that shit. I said, because even if it was something I was to think about, you're gonna benefit way more than I do. Because it just doesn't work like that for men. Because yes, more women get more opportunities at minimal, at least sexual contact than men. And I think men are envious of that. Because I told my wife, I said, if we went to the corner right now and we both held signs up, says, I'm in an open marriage, so please approach me, serious inquiries only. I can bet you I would get 1 to her 100 easily on my best day and probably on her worst. because that's just the way the dynamics work between men and women. I mean, we can't be upset about that, men. I mean, we ain't got to be jealous of that. That's just the way it is. And I truly believe, like I said at the beginning of this, for every one man, you know, what did he say?
Women don't want to.
What did he say? Let me
That's
go back.
why you're lonely.
Listen, even if I didn't make six figures, loneliness epidemic.
Why do you think that?
It's way easier for women to get 10 guys than it is for one guy to get 10 women.
Women don't want to sleep with you. That's
Like, yo, it's way easier for one woman to get 10 guys than it is for one guy to get 10 women. Y'all men have vagina envy. That's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, y'all wish y'all had vaginas. Goddamn. That's what it's pussy envy. That's what it is. God damn. I don't know how long I was talking about this, but I could have avoided all this and got this out of the way. That's the diagnosis. Y'all want all the benefits of having a vagina. And this explains why a lot of men are probably transitioning.
I have been purposely staying off the internet. Reason being is because I don't want to come out of character.
All right, hold on. So remember earlier when I was talking about Anthony Edwards, why he won't be the face of the NBA and the baby mama. So this is the woman. This is the baby mama. She's got some things to say to the women.
I have
She's
been
addressing
purposely
y'all.
staying off the internet. Reason being is because I don't want to come out of character from the things that are being written and commented, the lies that are being made up. And I know that if I put myself in position to respond, I'm then putting myself in position to defend my daughter. And defending her of what has been written, there's no nice way to do it because people have been so ignorant and so cold-hearted towards a child. And funny enough, I don't know if it's been a year or two, but I remember when Trump wanted to push laws banning the rights to abort. And I remember how women came together and they protest. And you got dressed in jerry beads, and some of you went down in panties and bras and trench coats and was like, this is my body, this is my choice, okay? But the second a woman makes the decision, and I'm not even sure if it's a woman or if maybe, well, I know I'm probably getting this attention because of who I am and who I am attached to. But just generally speaking, the second a woman decides to make the decision about her body and her child, y'all turn into weirdos. Do you want a man to tell you what to do with your body or not? Do you want the right?
She makes a good point. Her body, her choice, right? So if she chooses not to, women are going to be clapping, and she has the right to choose not to. Women are clapping and in a parade and celebrating it. But if she chooses to, she's kind of getting denigrated. I would say, Aisha Howard, young lady, you're in the public. There's always going to be some good and bad. And no, you don't get privacy because you live publicly. You get no privacy. I need people to understand that. So yeah, sweetheart, unfortunately, you're going to get some. I mean, but hey, you know, you're responding to it as you so see fit. But I'm just saying,
right or not,
that's part of the game when you live public.
I've also come to the realization that there are just certain allegations that I will never, ever beat with you guys. I came into the situation with the status because I have a child by a very successful artist, right? From then, I'm viewed as a certain type of woman because I'm beautiful and have a nice body. And only women like that attract a certain caliber of men, which is also not my fault. And now that I am in yet another situation where I now have a child with another successful man, there's no telling you guys that I'm not a gold digger. You guys, it's not beating those allegations at all. The only thing that irritates me is I read comments that say, oh, you're a gold digger, or you kept the baby for a check. What if I came to y'all's pages, right? And I compared the men that you have children with to the men that I have children with. And I said, you were digging for poverty when you picked him to be your baby daddy.
Oh, that's a little rude. Whoa, wait a minute. Y'all heard what she said right there? What if I came to y'all's pages and said why y'all had y'all's children?
To the men that I have children with. Ooh. And I said, you were digging for poverty when you picked him to be your baby daddy, weren't you? Oh, you kept that baby for an extra income tax credit, didn't you? Or you kept that baby for a couple extra $100 in food stamps, didn't you? Or you kept that baby for an extra Section 8 voucher. Is that why you kept your baby? Now, if that was triggering, that's how I feel every time somebody says.
Yo, hey man, look, we don't want women doing that. We don't want women of one economic group and another economic group judging each other for why they have who they had children by and why. We don't want that. That would get really messy. And people will call it punching down. But when somebody's offended, when you offend somebody, you don't get to dictate how the offended responds to the offender. No. So with that being said, I'm saying that what she's saying is 100% in bounds. It's in bounds. Keep on cooking. Keep on cooking. Y'all leave her alone, she'll leave y'all alone.
Oh yeah, baby. I'm on one tonight. We gonna talk about it. Cause see, I sat back and I watched y'all in your dirty bonnets, lay back on your headboards or in your cars with the cloth seats. I saw you. And you voiced your opinion about what you would have did if you were in my situation, with my options that you do not have, and you probably never will. How you gonna tell me what you would have did with my situation when you had a baby for your weed man, or you had a baby for that dude that be robbing everybody, or you had a baby for the booster, or you had a baby for the dude that you have?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's messy. It's not nice. Yes, she says it in this little sweet voice. She's obviously being an asshole in this moment. But is she wrong? Is she right? I don't know. But I'm saying that I personally feel that her response is justified. Now, again, she puts herself out there. You live publicly. You have a public-facing life. Be prepared for the scrutiny, the kickback, the comeback. Hell, I'm making a response video to these people. I expect people to disagree with me and come and say stuff slick and whatever the case may be. I'm built for it. I got to be built for it. That doesn't mean that we can't do the back and forth. And I guess what she's saying is, hey, if y'all gonna go there, I'm gonna go there. And I guess she's kind of saying, what if I came to y'all's pages and did the same thing? And like, how would we judge that? I know publicly we would look at that like, yo, come on now, you punching down. That ain't right. You stuck up. You think because we would judge her way more harshly than we're judging those that come for her. We 100% are. I have no doubt about that. Because we like the underdog to get their licks in, or those who appear to be the underdog. Because hey, you chose to have that baby by your weed man, by the booster, by that dude that was robbing people. You chose that. Red flags look like Six Flags. Anyway, that's all I got. Y'all can have the comments. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can judge me just as harshly. I love the harsh judgment on my opinions all day, every day. But I think she got it in. And hopefully I did too.